coming to help Travis.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not free.
We're having some technical difficulties up here.
You want me to do it?
Got it?
It's like another foul. Yeah, well, look.
Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting of the Ascension Parish Council on April the 15th in the council chambers in Gonzales to order. I thank you all for being here. And we have at this time the invocation to be given by Coach Thomas, and we will follow that with the pledge led by him as well. So if you all will stand and remain standing for the pledge.
Let's bow our heads. Most Heavenly Father, as this time in the evening, as we come before you with a bowed down head, Lord, and yes, Lord, a forgiving heart. We come, Lord, to say thank you this afternoon. Thank you, Lord, for being so good and so kind to each of us. We pray, Lord, that you bless each and every person under the sound of my voice. Oh God, we ask continue blessing upon this council. We pray, Lord, for our president. Bless and keep him, Lord. We pray, Lord, that you bless this parish of Ascension. Guide and lead us. Allow us, oh God, to disagree to agree, to make sure that everybody is in order. We thank you for being here tonight. In your name we pray. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gonna be one of the little bit ladies that track me first. There he is.
Oh, there he is. Drink my coffee first. So we have two councilmen who are still remaining late, but they have both committed that they will be here. Councilman Lambert and Councilman Melanson. Councilman Ogeron has just joined us. Got that, Sin? There are no chairs additions tonight. I will mention that there is a public comment period. If you have an item about which you would like to speak, please see the secretary with either a red or green card. She'll get that up here, and you'll be called on at the appropriate time to speak. Tonight, due to the fact that we have so many speakers, we will do the public comment period almost immediately. So that is the fourth item on the agenda. We will go ahead and, well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and do the presentations. Get that done. That way if folks that don't need to, want to stay or need to stay could feel free to go. And then after the presentations, we will do the public comment period for any item that is on the executive session agenda. Mr. President?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council.
Thank you.
Today we'll do a proclamation on the Community Development Block Grant. The Community Development Block Grant Program has operated since 1974 to provide local governments with the resources required to primarily meet the needs of low and moderate income persons. The CDBG program is among the few remaining federal programs available to address the needs of low and moderate income persons in small cities. The CDBG program has provided the state of Louisiana with important flexible assistance to meet the needs of low and moderate income residents of small cities with funding of sewer, water, street improvement projects, economic development projects, and other public improvement projects. Congress and the nation acknowledge the critical value of the CDBG program and the significant projects that rely on its funds for support. Therefore, I, Clint Quintemont, President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim August 5th through the 9th, 2021 as Community Development Week in Ascension Parish. I don't believe we have any speakers here on this particular item.
Thank you.
Moving to our second proclamation. This is the 53rd anniversary of the National Fair Housing Law, Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, and an occasion for all Americans to rededicate themselves to the principle of freedom from housing discrimination whenever it exists. The National Fair Housing Law guarantees all citizens the right to freely choose a home and prohibits discrimination concerning the sale, rental, financing house based on race, religion, national origin, or sex. A fair housing law has been passed by the state of Louisiana, and implementation of the law requires positive commitment, involvement, and support of each of our citizens. The department and agencies of the state of Louisiana are to provide leadership in the effort to make fair housing not just an idea, but an ideal for all of our citizens. Barriers that diminish the right and limit the options of any citizen to freely choose a home will ultimately diminish the rights and limit the options of all. Therefore, I, Clint Whitmore, President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority invested in me, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Fair Housing Month of Ascension Parish, and encourage all residents to be aware of their legal rights concerning housing. And again, Madam Chair, I do not believe we have any speakers or anyone to comment on this proclamation.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right, at this time, we'll begin the public comment period for those items on the executive session. I would like to remind everyone that we need to be respectful of each other and of the council, and certainly of the DeLone family. And so I would ask you to limit your remarks to those that are relevant to the item on the executive agenda, which is executive session agenda, which is the lawsuit that has been filed. So at this time, I'm happy to call on Miss Christina Guidry.
Wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
All right. The Planning and Zoning Commission found that the DeLone estate did not meet the regulations. By approving a settlement and issuing the permit for development, you would be undermining the parish's attempts to regulate development. You would be basically telling the developers that our regulations mean nothing. If your development is denied, file suit, and the parish council will approve your development. I hope that is not going to be the case. Therefore, we ask that you support the decision to deny this development. Please support the very minimal regulations in place and support the citizens who have to travel these roads. The citizens have asked and continue to ask, improve infrastructure first. The parish does not need to add any more neighborhoods into its maintenance program. Currently, the roads in my whole neighborhood are in very sad shape, and they are in need of being maintained, so I don't see why we would need to add more. I will add to the record, but I have a Facebook posting, and I want to read part of it to you. And this is from Christopher Ewing, and he said, I have no objections to the development, and he's talking about the Delaney development, and do not think the added traffic will degrade the capacity of LA 73 and LA 621 to anything we can't handle with some timing modifications. So I just want to note that the DOTD is not supporting this development. Further, there's other roads that will be impacted that are not mentioned in this Facebook post, which would be White and Duplessis and also I-10, which are, some of those are below the D level. Truly, this is not about saving seconds and minutes. It's about the safety and welfare of our roads, the safety and welfare of those traveling our roads. And that's the purpose of the traffic impact assessment, and also of your charge to protect the citizens. You're responsible for the citizens of this community. And so I ask that you will look out for the benefit of all and not just a few by declining to approve this neighborhood at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Denise Drago.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Denise Drago, and I live in Longwood subdivision. This proposed subdivision would directly affect my family and thousands of others daily. Right now, from 7 a.m. until 8:30 a.m., traffic is backed up from the interstate to White Road and further. If you're trying to get out the subdivision, it's impossible. Traffic at White Road, Duplessis Road, Alice Bro, Post Office Road on 73 are all rated level of service LOS of E, which does not meet the traffic impact study LOS of at least a D, which is part of the code of Ascension Parish. These roads are not adequate to handle the cars we have now. Because of the large size of this development, all these roads are additionally affected. The roads are all LOSE and will not improve with this development. That is why it was legally denied. Let this lawsuit run its course under the appeals process, and it will prove our parish council and planning and zoning commissioners have the authority over the parish to responsibly control growth and development to maintain the quality of life the residents deserve. The parish council adopted a new master plan in 2019. A number of meetings were held around Ascension Parish. At the meetings, citizens attended and voiced overwhelmingly their desire for infrastructure first. We cannot achieve that by adding these high-density subdivisions to our overburdened roads. In January 1999, the only time the planning and zoning was sued, basically the homeowner contractor was lacking federal wetland determination. So they did not meet all the parish requirements for approval, just as in this case. They didn't meet all the requirements. The parish hired Keene and Miller, an outside firm, to defend our parish, led by Matilda Abramson, which is my mom's best friend of 50 years. Keene and Miller won that case in federal court, and I have no doubt the parish would win this one too. Past actions of high-density development was negatively affect our parish. That has led to major problems of our overburdened roadways. The infrastructure...
Thank you so much, but your time is up, and tonight I'm not allowing any additional.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Miss Susan Jordan. Hi, Miss Jordan.
Good evening. My name is Susan Jordan, and I have been a proud resident of Ascension Parish for over 40 years. My father, Lloyd Nickens, was born here, grew up here, as were his grandparents and all his ancestors prior. Ascension Parish has much to offer its residents, mostly because we have fine people living here. However, in the last 40 years, our infrastructure has become very deficient, mainly because of the influx of many, many people who want to live here, to take advantage of our great schools, our beautiful rural landscape, our higher paying jobs nearby, and support by our law enforcement who protect the good people who live here. I am speaking to address the lack of infrastructure needed for DeLawn Estates to be approved. We have in place Planning and Zoning Commission rules designed to promote responsible growth. However, these rules are being disregarded and developments approved against our own restrictions. The problem seems to be that while the planning staff creates the codes for responsible growth, approval of new developments is up to you, the parish council. Why do some subdivisions fly through when they don't meet the traffic guidelines, or don't have more than one exit, or don't have a sewer treatment plan, while others are rejected? The problem is making sure that you, the people on our council, are not only familiar with the requirements in the code, but that you approve or deny based on these requirements. We must stop approving subdivisions who don't meet code. In this case, DeLon Estates, formerly called Antebellum Estates, has our planning commission telling us that a lawsuit by the owners of the land is a reason to approve this subdivision. For DeLon Estates, a traffic rating, LOS of E, for at least 4 of the intersectional approaches creates a concern for the public health, safety, and welfare. Traffic issues on 73 are well documented. The state will not do the mitigation being proposed because 73 is the major highway, not White Road. In addition, there is no permanent sewer service because the sewer plant in Renaissance has no capacity for DeLon Estates. It may be years before the parish negotiates a deal for the sewer. You, the council members, were elected by the residents of Ascension Parish to follow our codes and only promote responsible growth. This is not a property rights issue. All property owners in this parish would want a good price for their land. But suing the parish is not a reason to approve a new subdivision. Please vote to deny the approval of DeLon Estates. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Goppold, Catherine Goppold.
Good evening, council members.
Good
to
evening,
see you
Ms.
again.
Goppold. Good to see you.
Shall this council bow to a lawsuit threat and approve DeLone Estates or stand firm on the basis of the law? Both the Planning Commission and Council on Appeal voted to deny this development. Only once before has the Planning Commission been sued, and the court dismissed that suit. Ascension won in court. Under Louisiana law revised statute 33-103 through 113, the Ascension Planning Commission is, 1, given authority for the physical development of the land, 2, shall approve or disapprove a plat within 60 days, and 3, grounds for disapproval of any plat shall be stated upon the record. The development of land shall be made with the following in mind. 1, harmonious development of the parish to address present and future needs. 2, promote health, safety, and welfare with wise and efficient expenditure of public funds. And 3, adequate provision for traffic, public utilities, safety from fire, etc. The Planning Commission has fulfilled its obligation to the law in its denial of this development and stated that there are traffic concerns that do not meet our traffic impact ordinance standards. The Commission has done their due diligence. You followed in suit. Nothing about this denial is arbitrary or capricious. Please don't set a precedent by caving to the threat of this lawsuit and settle when the decision of both the Commission and the Council as Appeals Board is supported by the law. If you settle, you will open a floodgate for developers to sue when their developments are disapproved. Residents want infrastructure first. Do not bow to the threat of this lawsuit. Stand firm on the law that supports you. Stand strong with the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
I gave my comments to Cinnamon to put in the record.
Thank you. I want to, by the way, Ms. Goppold, I was thinking about it. I want to thank Representative Edmondson for her vote today on a bill that we brought to the legislature. Please pass that along to her. Thank you. Polly Glover.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
How are y'all?
Fine, thank you.
I'll pause for a second, and before I give you my short, brief comments, I'll ask that the committee, the commissioners, and the public attending pause for a minute tonight and pray for those victims of the Secor capsizing off of Port Fourchon. They would greatly appreciate some support tonight.
Certainly.
And I'll be brief in my comments tonight. I've come to here before you again one more time to voice my opposition as a citizen of the parish for the approval of the DeLon Estates. I want to remind you that you have a parish code that the Planning and Zoning Commission obviously works to enforce. And I'm going to state that previously they have denied it for various reasons, with the number one reason being the traffic issues along the 73 corridor.
law and the code clearly states that, infrastructure with roads have to be considered, and present infrastructure in the area simply doesn't support it. There's no justification for allowing the matter to be settled except to a benefit of a few, and I want to remind you as elected officials that you all know this, that you're obligated to not only a few, but to all that you represent here. I would ask that you go tonight before you vote, pause for a minute and think about the vote you're going to make. Think if when you leave here, you're going to go back and say that you were happy with your vote, or perhaps you're going to have regrets. The people have spoken to you numerous times on this issue, and they have voiced their concerns, and you need to really listen to them as elected officials. And that's all I'm going to say tonight, and I want to tell you thank you so much for all you do. I know it's hard, okay? But you need to listen to what the public is asking you to do, which is to vote no. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Glover. Teresa Robert.
I wasn't sure this was working, but I guess it is, because we couldn't hear in the back. Good evening. On March 11th, 2020, the Ascension Parish Planning Commission voted to deny the plat of Antebellum Point, now called DeLone Estates. It's been denied twice, first by the Ascension Planning and Zoning Commission, and second by the Ascension Appeals Board, where you, 11 parish councilmen, served as the judicial body. DeLone Estates then filed the lawsuit against the parish for a denial. I believe the parish will win this suit, and it will put to rest the question of whether the parish has the authority to deny developments that don't meet all of our regulations and ordinances. Motion to deny the Antebellum Point was made by Planning Commission member Aaron Chason, stating that the proposed development did not meet the requirements of the parish traffic impact ordinance, seconded by Mr. Shakespeare. Mr. Chason listed his legal reasons for denial. First, looking at the tables on page 4 of the March 4th submission, results in level of services of ease for at least 4 of the intersectional approaches: White Road, Duplessis, Post Office, Bro Road. Second, reading directly from actions based on traffic impact assessment mitigation from the parish impact analysis policy, quote, a proposed development which is subject to the TIA requirements of this policy may be disapproved when the results of the TIA demonstrate that the project will overburden the existing roadway by causing a reduction of level of service, negatively impact safety of the road, or is below level of service D. He further stated, level of service D is not the only factor, even though we do have 4 approaches here that do result in a below level of service D. It doesn't satisfy the ordinance. In addition, the impact study shows that it will overburden the existing roadway and cause reductions of service and negatively impact the safety of the roadways. It's important that there'll be an increase of 9 crashes per year after the improvements. A sewer plant. 3 other commission members voted for the motion to deny, adding reasons for the concern of the health, safety, and welfare of citizens, and too many assumptions made in the submitted plat. The Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code sets forth our appeal process, requiring the 2/3 supermajority vote of 8 to overrule the Ascension Planning Commission. Tonight, for the 3rd time, the Parish Council is considering settling this DeLone lawsuit in executive session, which would only require a simple majority of 6. Eliminating the supermajority requirement by allowing a simple majority will essentially nullify the parish appeal process set forth by our Parish Unified Land Development Code. Sitting as the appeals board, this council failed to get the required 8 votes to override the Planning Commission's denial. This plan is to garner the support of 6 councilmen to support settling the lawsuit, which would override your Planning Commission's denial. If you do this, the council will be setting a precedent and will send a message to developers that Ascension Parish is up for sale. Please represent us. Please follow through with this lawsuit. We will win, and it will confirm the authority that you have as representatives of us. You can protect our parish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
Jessica Kane. Keen, maybe? Correct my pronunciation, Jessica, if you will. Keen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to thank all of you for your service for our parish. My husband and I are also involved in several ministries that serve our community, and we know how much work it is and how hard it is to keep up with that and to be fully committed to it. We appreciate how much time you're taking from your family and from your lives to do this. And as we serve, we are not filled with pride, but humility that we have been chosen to serve. And you have been chosen to represent the people of Ascension Parish. Now, the people of Ascension Parish are not cowards. When threatened with a lawsuit, we expect our elected representatives to stand up for us. We take pride in our parish. We don't want our representatives to cower in fear from a lawsuit, but to have courage to stand up. God didn't give us a spirit of fear, so that fear does not come from him. And you are elected by the grace of God. We pray that you will make the right decision, and remember that you don't only have the residents of Ascension Parish to answer to, but also you have to answer to the one who created you. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Keene.
First, I want to thank each of you for all you've done. My wife said it very well, so I'm just going to ditto her comment there. I know it's difficult. I'm so blessed to have married Jessica. Her family has gone back many generations. Owned the entire block of over there on Black Bayou Road, at one point farmland. And it's beautiful to see how this whole parish grew from hardworking people with a lot of farmland. But what's kind of discouraging is to see that most of the roads that were there 50 years ago are still pretty much all the roads that we still have today, with a few extra. I guess what concerns me is when we look at these plats, we already give them a very low expectation when it comes to approving a plat, when it says at least roads of a D. It's like they finagle their way, I say they, every plat I seem to look at, they all finagle the way to where we can make this traffic work, to where every single road we hit is at least a D. No, it's not at least a D. Every road you hit is a D. I've never seen anything greater than a D. I'd love to see someone come up and say, hey, we just made one a C. What? No way. But we ask for a minimum, and then when you don't hit that minimum, it's like, look, we already gave you so much of ourselves. What more do you want? And then they go further. We can't let greed guide how our community's developed. If we're not ready for them to come in, we're not ready. I would welcome them back when we're ready. I want these houses to be built. I want to house the homeless. But we can't do it in a way where it's going to negatively impact and hurt other people. So we have to stand up for what is right, sometimes regardless of the extra cost. But that is our mission, as my wife put it well. So we do not want to set a terrible precedent. We haven't said it before. We're not going to set it again. And I trust y'all are going to do what's best for our people, as we have elected y'all here for that reason. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Rebecca Mobile.
I didn't prepare a speech, but I just wanted to let y'all know that I would like y'all not to settle the lawsuit. I agree with what everyone has said so far. Was brought to my attention one of the ordinances, it was 174092.1, letter G. It said the appeal hearing process. The action by 2/3 vote of the entire planning board of the appeal is final. Any further action shall be commenced in the district court. So that was just something I wanted to throw out there for y'all to think about. And I just also pray that the Lord, guides y'all and gives y'all wisdom to make the right decision for our parish. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Carmish.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So again, I don't prepare speeches either. I like to listen to what people have to say. I got my points in my mind, and what I have to say is to the council, but it's also to the people. It's to the people in this room. It's to the people watching, because I see a little bit of disconnect in the process that we have before us, and I'm glad Ms. Mobile brought up the point about the ordinance and the process. Not only does it say it once in the ordinance that the appeals board decision is final, it says it twice in there. actually 174092 appeal procedure, F, the determination of the Planning Board of Appeals shall be final. So what I would like the people to understand is that we have a process in place that is potentially being overlooked, potentially being bypassed. And I'd like these people to kind of be aware of that, because this subdivision was denied via the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was denied via the Appeals Board, which is you. Why would it come back to you again if it couldn't pass that process? Are we going to just bypass the process? And if we bypass this process, what other processes within our parish are going to be bypassed? Where do we draw the line at? We're a country and a community that follows the rule of law. We need to adhere to this. This is a subdivision, but it goes much deeper than that. It's not only the infrastructure of our parish and our roads, it's the infrastructure of our community, it's the infrastructure of our government. If we don't abide by the rule of law, if we don't abide by the code and adhere to the oaths that we take to protect our citizens, to protect our community, safety and welfare of our neighbors, and where are we at? So that brings me to this executive committee. I know y'all have your reasons, legal issues and whatnot, and what's said, but we'll go try and do this. But President John F. Kennedy once said that the very word secrecy is repugnant to a free and open society. He said that we decided long ago that the dangers of excessive concealment of pertinent facts far outweighs the dangers which are used to justify those. So I ask you, maybe there's some way to put out some information to the community to help understand these secret meetings we have, executive meetings and stuff. I understand there's some legal issues, but it doesn't seem right that we go behind the closed doors. I don't think we're talking about national security concerns. We're talking about what affects every single one of us living in this community. Why can't we hear? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Catherine Bajeron.
Good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
y'all so much for being here and for representing us. I'm Catherine Bajeron. I've been a resident of Ascension Parish for almost 20 years. And I would respectfully ask you not to set a precedent that would be nearly impossible to reverse, and that you would continue to listen to your voters and to make decisions with integrity that are best for Ascension Parish. We need infrastructure first. If you vote to approve a settlement with DeLawn Estates, I see no reason to have regulations in the future or a planning and zoning commission. The citizens of Ascension Parish want controlled, responsible growth that will maintain the quality of life that we all enjoy. A vote to settle the lawsuit is clearly contrary to the desires of the citizens. If we're going to have regulations, then we need to follow them. Thank you.
Thank you. I have other cards whose names I'll read off. They were turned in cards but didn't desire to speak. Those against: Rhonda Porter, Alyssa Terry, Benny Drago, Patricia Pino, Patricia Manuel, December Leday, Stacy Villeneuve, Million Barry Blaylock, Alvin Robert, Richard Jordan. Thank you all very much. All right, we will move along to item 6 on the agenda, the parish president's report. Mr. Quitmall.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
Council.
you.
So, beginning, we're gonna lose another long-term employee to retirement. So, a member of our communications department, video programming, Lester Kenyon, will officially retire tomorrow. Lester has served the parish for 18 years and is one of the founders of Ascension 21 Government Access Television back in the day. He also served as a public information officer under previous administrations. Many of you know Lester from his playing the guitar and singing at many public events. As well as for his videography, he always sat right behind you at the Donaldsonville Council meetings. We wish Lester a long and happy retirement. Thank you, Lester. Earlier today, in conjunction with Livingston Parish, we had closed waterways for recreational purposes due to high waters. As of today, We'll move on to vaccinations. As of today, 1 million people in Louisiana have fully been vaccinated against the coronavirus. 1.5 million have received at least one dose. 21% of Ascension Parish's population is now fully vaccinated, and our parish percent positivity has fallen from 5.7 to 4.9. Things are moving in the right direction. Household hazardous materials collection day was Saturday, April 3rd, and by all accounts was a huge success. We're still tabulating how much of everything we collected, but I can tell you our volunteers serviced 861 cars and collected 7,920 pounds, nearly 4 tons of scrap metal. We want to congratulate all of our volunteers, employees, and sponsors for coming out on their Easter holiday to help keep Ascension Parish clean. On Saturday, April 10th, Parish President Quentin Moe, me, and parish employees and parish council members, Ascension and Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, Congressman Garrett Graves, and many residents came together to volunteer for the River Project Cleanup Day. The weather gave us a slow start, but luckily our patience won. The skies cleared and we were able to clean out trash and debris from the surrounding area and load into trash bins to be hauled away. Some of this garbage includes partially sunken boats, refrigerators, styrofoam cups, and 1 gold volleyball. I want to personally thank Councilman Mason and Councilman Malonsaw for joining our staff for the cleanup. We encourage all of our residents to do their part to help keep Ascension beautiful. Over the past few weeks, our administration has been out promoting the vote to sell our sewer assets. Collectively, we have completed 3 open houses meetings located at various locations in the parish, attended the City of Gonzales, Donaldsonville, Town of Sorrento council meetings, Rotary clubs in Donaldsonville, Greater Ascension, East Ascension, met with the Sheriff's Department, his staff, Ascension Chamber of Commerce, School Board, and many more events planned up until the vote on April 24th. I would like to thank all the council members who stepped up and attended these events to help promote the sale of sewer assets. The final public open house with information about the proposal to sell the parish's sewer assets to NWI is Monday, April 19th at 6 p.m. at Dutchtown Middle School Gym. We're also putting out videos and information about the proposal on Ascension 21, YouTube, Facebook, and we ask everyone to check it out and learn more about this proposal. Early voting ends this Saturday. Election day is April 24th. We want to get as much information out there as possible so people can make an informed decision at the ballot box. And thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 7, the consent agenda. Cinnamon?
Approval to authorize Parish President Clint Quintmall to retain the services of 360 Industries to provide strategic risk management and contract impact analysis services to the parish on an as-needed basis, contract not to exceed $45,000. Amendment number 1, Hartman Consultants LLC for additional amount of $3,980 for the appraisal of ACUD number 2 wastewater infrastructure and assets. Renewal of contract for medical services with Ty Gotro to provide medical services as a nurse practitioner to the inmates at the Ascension Parish Jail for a monthly fee of $4,725 for a total annual amount of $56,700. Certificate of substantial completion, Arc Smart, Lamar Dixon Expo Center, Lake Solar Lighting Repairs. Change order number 2 to master contract for the Council on Aging Wellness Center project with Acadian Commercial Contractors for additional materials and days due to weather and COVID delays in the amount of $6,130.21 and an additional 30 days. New contract amount of $730,430.21 and new substantial completion date of April 6, 2021. Change order number 1 to master contract for the Animal Shelter Renovations Project with BRP Construction LLC for additional costs due to increase in steel prices and the removal of existing kennels. Total additional amount of $16,422.89 for a total contract amount of $307,411.78. Certificate of substantial completion, Delcon, Ascension Parish Jail Sewer Process and Facility. Change order number 1, Lincoln Builders, Lamar Dixon Expo Center Gym Expansion, decrease in the amount of $330,013 to the original contract amount as a result of a value engineering meeting and subsequent pricing by contractor to determine constructability of original design and subsequent changes to reduce price. New contract amount is $3,009,987. Professional services contract with General Informatics for IT support for Fire District Number 3, not to exceed $30,000. Certificate of substantial completion, McLean Construction, Fire District Number 3, Station 30, New Pavilion. Agreement for professional services with Henderson Auctions for the auction of parish vehicles, equipment declared surplus. Option B, buyer to pay 10%, no cost to parish. Amendment number 3 to the master contract between All South Consulting Engineers and Ascension Parish for grants management and disaster recovery project management activities. To renew the current contract for an additional year through May 11th, 2022 for a not to exceed amount of $546,600. Site sponsorship agreement between Trash Rangers of Louisiana Commercial LLC and the Lamar Dixon Expo Center. Bid quote items to accept lowest responsive bid or quote as follows. Request for overnight security services for Lamar Dixon Expo Center RFP. Request for contract services to remove and replace shingle roof on mental health office building. Premier Service Team LLC, $45,360. Request for contract services to remove and haul off 1,609 feet of old fencing and replace with new fencing. Central fencing gates, $39,900. Mechanical fabrication services, Marvin Bro Pump Station, PM 2006008, quote request, Abear Steel Company, Inc., $54,789. New all aluminum workboat, approximately 1 unit bid, Crucial, Inc., $120,950. Purchase of 2 new 2022 Freightliner pumper tanker trucks, state contract 4400017741 for Fire District Number 1, Sidens Martin Emergency Group LLC, $337,737.73 each. Approval for the parish president to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Gonzales to pursue federal funds through a joint application to the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the conversion of Airline Highway US 61 from Lowe's to Pepera Avenue into a DOTD super street concept. Approval of a resolution for Ascension Parish to commit the required 10% matching funds if awarded the requested federal monies for the Airline Highway Super Street project. Approval of change order 3 LA 73 turn lanes at Oakland Drive. Approval of change order 3 LA 73 turn lanes at Oakland Drive, decrease of $13,472.60. Approval of change order MCO 1 of the asphaltic concrete reconstruction and overlay improvements 2020 project for the amount of $549,005.99. Roads to be considered for acceptance into the parish maintenance system as follows. Brookstone Subdivision, Matty Drive, 2,501 feet. Alexis Avenue, 311 feet. Nicholas Street, 340 feet. Cambry Oaks Subdivision, Cambry Oaks Drive, 1,443 feet. Ridgeland Drive, 439 feet. Midland Drive, 443 feet. Park Fair Drive, 570 feet. Oster Lane, 379 feet. East Oster Lane, 926 feet. Farm Road, 195 feet. Cedar Springs Subdivision, Cedar Springs Road, 966.85 feet. Cedar Park Avenue, 657.45 feet. Copperhead Phase 1, Copperhead Road, 1,666 feet. Oak Lake Subdivision Phase 1, Cherry Bark Oak Drive, 1,066 feet. Scarlet Oak Drive, 316 feet. Chestnut Oak Drive, 609 feet. Shumard Oak Drive, 329 feet. Waterview Avenue, 434 feet. Pelican Crossing Fourth Filing, Bayou Conway Drive, 192 feet. Cosachi Drive, 205 feet. Soaring Drive, 2,628 feet. Nesting Drive, 2,027 feet. Marsh Lane, 654.5 feet. Coastland Avenue, 843 feet. Hackett Canal Drive, 588 feet. Approval of Amendment Number 9 to Master Contract for Professional Services, reallocate funds in the amount of $25,686.12 from Task Order 1A, Right-of-Way Services, to Task Order 3, Construction Services, for contract administration and engineering assistance throughout construction. Evans Graves Engineers, Inc. Amendment Number 2 to Master Contract for Professional Services, design and permitting to revise the original scope of work, upgrading the existing Oak Grove STP to treat 95,000 GPD to meet 5525 limits and to extend the contract for an additional year through May 6, 2022. Alvin Fairburn and Associates. Approval of increase for GSA Task Order Number 7 for additional booster pump for combination of PUA HUD water system. Cooperative Endeavor Agreement, League Agreement with AYSA for the use of Butch Gore Park.
A motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Let me check real quick and make sure no one has any item they want to remove from the consent. No. So a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions?
Just one question, Mr.
Sure, Mr. Lambert.
Can you get Mr. Dean up, please? I want to check on the Council on Aging Wellness Center.
Sure, Mr. Dean.
Evening, Dean.
How you doing?
You got it ready to open for April 6th, or?
Yes, sir. We've signed us to completion. It'll be coming to the next finance meeting, and it'll have a punch list attached to it, of course. But yeah, it's ready to go.
Just want to let everyone know that, look, we're taking care of our seniors in this parish, and this is going to be a fine facility once completed. I was chairman back when we started this project, and appreciate you, Dean, for, it had some changes in different weather and COVID set in. Appreciate everything y'all have done.
Yeah,
And we're going to have a fine facility.
It's been a challenge, but we made it. And y'all all be invited to the ribbon cutting coming soon.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank
Wonderful.
y'all.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dempsey, for your work with the Council on the Aging. All right, any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item, general business, A, approval of the updated Ascension Parish Global Position System Vehicle Tracking Policy requested by the council. Good evening, Jay. Nice to see you.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Good evening, Council. Upon introducing GPS technology and changing companies, y'all asked that we draft a GPS policy. Went back and researched because I did have what I thought was a rough draft. But on March 21st of 2019, there was a policy that was approved. So what I'm asking is to amend that policy. President Quintmall has asked that all assets and all employees of the parish be held accountable. That is the largest part of this policy. Upon talking to HR, I was advised that any happenings would be dealt through the employee policy guidelines, not through GPS policy. The policy actually just states what the GPS is used for. So we added in the equipment. It was going to be used on auxiliary items such as PTOs, sprayers for tracking, accountability, efficiency, productivity. Those are the small changes we made, but like I said, the largest one was President Quintmall felt that all assets and all employees should be accountable. So that was omitted from the policy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to approve the
Any
policy.
questions, gentlemen?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. A question from Ms. Dozeron.
Jay, clarify for me for a minute. When you said it's going to be applicable to all equipment, does that mean that we're putting GPS tracking on all of our equipment at this point, or?
No, sir, not 100%.
Okay.
We're putting it on equipment that we can track productivity and efficiency, things we can be transparent about,
Sure.
such as the mowing, the spraying. It's very hard to measure swing time on a track hoe. So we can hook it to, the key switch and show you that that guy is running in that machine, but we can't tell you the efficiency and productivity.
Right.
So that's just some of the negatives about it. But for the most part, that mowing, that time spraying, those mosquito trucks out there, those guys saying, hey, my neighborhood didn't get sprayed. We can put that up there and be transparent, and all can see that that has happened or has not happened. And that's what we're looking at doing right here.
Well, and it's done a good job so far. I just wanted clarification if we were going to buy a GPS tracking unit for each piece of parish equipment. And
No, sir.
you clarified that for me. Thanks a
Yes,
lot.
Thank you.
Mr. Louder?
Yeah, thank you for this.
My thought is, it says the parish safety manual will further address how violations will be enforced. One of my concerns with getting a GPS manual that you have here, which is, it's good, is that we still, I guess we don't, I want to make sure that it's enforced evenly amongst all employees, because I know in the past, there have been issues to that effect, and our employees need to know that they're going to be treated equally. Unless it's in writing, there's no way to really enforce that aspect of it. So when might we expect to see the safety manual that addresses how violations will be enforced?
Yeah, we would probably have to refer to legal and HR on that. A little bit of what I talked to them about, I was told always resort back to the employee handbook, which is insubordination. It handles your driving regulations. We all know that if we're speeding, we're breaking the law, so we should be breaking the parish law. So a lot of that is in your employee handbook. I think that's a better place for those policies. Maybe we'd look with HR and let them develop that, but getting out of fleet with that.
Okay, that's definitely something that I think that the administration needs to take into account and start working on right away, from the HR perspective then, because I just want to make sure that any violations of this everybody's treated equally.
Absolutely.
And in the past, that hasn't been the way, hasn't always been that way. And
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure it is. Thank you, Jay. Great job.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Ogeron?
Piggybacking on Mr. Lawler, administration, who gets who is reporting the violations of the tracking program? Is it just going to the department that operates that piece of equipment, or is it being reported to the administration, being reported to HR?
So this starts out through our service. Our service, it acts as a third party. We set up parameters, and let's just use something like speeding. We figure we don't want over 10 miles over. If that's what we come up with, it's going to report to them. They're going to email to us instantly when that happens. Same as in accidents, you roll that truck over, that airbag goes off, they're going to email, call us instantly. So they're actually the guys that are sending you the violations. And that's where, when you look in this policy, it shows a third party. So I think they're making the decision before it hits HR that this should be noticed, and we should bring it to the attention of somebody to look further into this. And this system really does a very good job at that. It covers everything. Down to hard braking, hard cornering, and it also keeps a safety scorecard, which is something that we'll work with Mr. James later to share with our employees, and to show how we're safely driving vehicles, and different programs.
So the third party sends it to HR as well as the department heads, or?
It's up to us to set it up, how we set it up.
Yeah, I strongly recommend that we have that going to HR as
Yes.
well as the department heads. Again, just for the sake of transparency and providing a fairness, like Mr. Lawler was saying, across the board.
Yes, sir.
So when you guys put that into effect, please add that aspect to it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Item B, approval of a cooperative endeavor agreement between Ascension Parish government and the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office for security and law enforcement services during publicly noticed meetings of the Ascension Parish Council and its committees or commissions.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Mr. Maloney, a second by Mr. Mason, or Mr. Cagnolati, whichever one over there said something, to approve. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Ricky, you were spared that one. Item C, approval to extend the HSA requirements deadline to April 30th, 2021, to allow employees.
Motion.
Second. A motion by Mr. Ogeron, a second by Mr. Robert. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item D, approval to waive the development fee of $2,500 per lot to avoid a double fee due to a
Motion
third
approved.
party. Motion by Mr. Maloney,
Second.
second by Mr. Cagnolati. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item E, approval of certificate of substantial completion, Ascension Parish Skate Park.
Motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Lawler, a second by Mr. Thomas. Are there any questions?
Just one
with a
for
comment.
Mr.
I have a couple of questions, all right? So we'll start with you, Mr. Ogeron.
As memory serves, I questioned the necessity of this project. I questioned the way that it was being set up. I questioned a number of items regarding the skate park in that area. I am pleased to announce that I was pleasantly surprised at the workmanship that was done. I give a hands up to Mr. Compton for his designs and for Dean and his team for putting everything together out there. It looks fantastic, guys. Still, I've got clients in the area. Their biggest concern now is keeping the skateboarders at the skateboard park and not crossing into those parking lots that they have, because we're fearful of liability issues. So if you guys can work on putting up that fence we've talked about, that would be great. But I just wanted to commend everybody involved in this project, including Mr. Lawler, for the number of times that he and I yelled at each other over the phone over this thing. It looks great, and congratulations. It's going to be an asset for the parish.
Thank you, Mr. Ogeron. That's kind words. All right, any objections? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Malawson had a comment.
Is it open yet? I should know this, but it's May 1st is the grand opening?
People out there already.
Yes, sir. So our recreation director is working to schedule and program a grand opening event on May 1st. I believe it's going to happen from 10 to noon. We've got Ruckus Skate Park. I think Gillo might be coming out, maybe a food truck. They're going to have some skateboarding contests. We're actually working right now with an artist to paint every one of the ramps with a Oak Grove, a Prairieville, Ascension Parish theme to get rid of all that graffiti. So we're really proud of that park. I think it's going to be really spectacular. So
If there's two things that go together, it's a brewery and skateboards.
There you go. I don't know, you better be careful when you're doing that. Thank you very much. Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item F, approval to authorize the parish president to enter into a service contract with Shelter Planners of America to provide a needs analysis and conceptual design of the new Ascension Parish Animal Shelter, contract not to exceed $30,000. This is recommended by the Animal Services.
Motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Lawler,
Second.
second by Mr. Lambert. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Mr. Malawson.
So what all is, or does this encompass? What are we attempting to get out of this exactly? There's not much on the item report.
Right, well, and the board has been in existence now for 15 months. And we haven't gotten very far with the conceptual design of how we're going to put together this shelter. And it's pretty obvious that there's at least 100 different opinions as to what's needed in the shelter, what the parish's needs are, what we need to do. And the board researched, I have Nina Wager here, as our secretary of the board, did a lot of research, and we found this company. They actually did the needs analysis and conceptual design for the Lafayette shelter. And so they've done over 150 shelters. They're experts at doing this, and we figured for $30,000, if they can come in and do a needs analysis and give us a conceptual design, then when we're ready to send it out for bid, architect and the contractors know what we need and what we want, and then we can move forward with it. So that's pretty much all it is.
And this will come from the animal fund?
Yeah, it's going to come from the animal fund.
Okay.
They're collecting about $1.5 million a year for that, in that fund, so there's a few dollars remaining that we can utilize.
I'm good.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Mr. Mason?
Did we put out for an RFQ for any other potential clients to come do this?
We did not.
Okay.
I
I know they've done Lafayette, and I'm sure they are qualified, but I just know that anytime we try to go out for something new, that we tend to put out an RFQ, and I was just curious if that process has been met or not.
Well, no, and again, that's something that, again, you served on the board for a year. You know the issues that we have.
I know.
What we're trying to get done, is we're trying to get the ball rolling.
I got you.
And I mean, if this council believes that an RFQ is necessary, then, I mean, we can obviously amend it and make a motion to do so. I'm looking at the dollar amount and, you know, the fact that they're going to give us a survey and draft up a, you know, a preliminary plat as to what it should look like. I just said, let's go with them.
Animal
They're not
shelter
local,
master
there's no
plan.
nepotism involved, I assure you of all of that.
Mr. Cagney.
Yeah, I was involved early on with this, and we put the proposal to the public for a vote. And I didn't talk to this firm, but I spoke to people in Lafayette, Slidell, other major cities across South Louisiana. And they said Lafayette was where it's at. They knew exactly what they were doing. They built a state-of-the-art shelter. And if we wanted to copy somebody, they would be ideal. So I'm very comfortable with it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I had a motion and a second. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item 9, introduction of ordinances. Only one motion is required to introduce.
Chairwoman Casso, the public hearing is required
Yeah,
twice.
it's the second one, that's right. We have the second public hearing that must be done, so we'll open a public hearing. I'll accept a motion to open the public hearing to create a road infrastructure district designated as Parish of Ascension Infrastructure District IDD 2021-2, Forestwood subdivision pursuant to the Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code, LDC, Appendix 4, Subdivision Regulations, Section 17-4011, approval of the final plat procedure F, Infrastructure District.
Motion to open public hearing.
I have a motion by Mr. Robey, a second by Mr. Cagney to open a public hearing. There were no comment cards.
Motion to close.
I have a motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Cagney to close the public hearing. I have a motion to introduce an ordinance to create the road.
Motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Ogeron. All we need is one. Item C, introduction of a budget amendment 4.
Motion to introduce.
I have a motion by Mr. Cagney. Item D, introduction of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Article 1, Section 15-2, Park Rules and Regulations generally to update and add rules and regulations.
Motion introduced.
Motion to introduce by Mr. Mason. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 10, public hearings. Item A, reading of an ordinance, Budget Amendment 3, to amend the 2021 budget. Mr. Dupatti.
Thank you. Ordinance, an ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2021 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension, adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 19th day of November 2020. Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2021 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, general fund, purchase new pickup truck for administration. Executive administration, expenditures and other finance uses, acquisitions, vehicles, $37,500. Recreation fund, replace funds for Santa Ma and Dutchtown spray parks. Expenditures and other financing uses, transfers out, park construction fund, $1,080,000. Parish utilities of Ascension, water meter and infrastructure projects, USACE 219 program, revenues and other financing sources, transfer in, water, wastewater construction fund, $1,057,000. Expenditures and other financing uses, appropriations and grants, non-capital, $457,000. Appropriations and grants, capital, $600,000. Capital budget, water, wastewater, construction fund, USACE 219 program, parish utilities, projects. Expenditures and other financing uses, transfer out, parish utilities of Ascension Parish government, $1,057,000. Park construction fund, replace funds for Santa Ma and Dutchtown spray parks. Revenue and other financing sources, transfer in, recreation fund, $1,080,000. Expenditures and other financing uses, contract payments, capital, $1,080,000. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing.
Have a motion by Mr. Mason, second by Mr. Cagney to open a public hearing. I have no cards.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion by Mr. Robey, second by Mr. Melanson to close the public hearing.
Motion to move.
Have a motion by Mr. Mason to move the ordinance.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Melanson. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. This time, the council will go into executive session.
Motion to enter executive session.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Cagnolati to go into executive session. Madam Secretary, there'll be a roll call.
Oh, there.
Here.
Yes.
Press your button.
Press
your
your
button, man.
Aaron?
Oh, sorry, I was waiting, verbal roll calls, waiting for it. I forgot.
We got buttons in full count.
Yeah, we're all sophisticated tonight.
You want to bill for this?
Chair would entertain a motion to reconvene.
Motion to reconvene?
Have a motion and a second to reconvene. Mr. Ogeron.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. At this time, I make a motion that Parish Council accept the settlement offer that has been proposed with the addition of the elimination of 10 units, dropping the total number of homes from 237 to 227. That was the compromise that that I'm proposing today.
Have a motion and a second from Mr. Lambert. Are there any questions? Senator, open the voting machines.
oh, never mind.
Has everybody voted? All right, there are 6 yeas and 5 noes. That motion passes.
Motion to return to executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Hang tight, y'all have to vote.
Gotta vote.
Got to vote, got to vote.
Got to vote.
Give someone a second to reset.
Fail the people. Fail the people.
And my phone.
Hey, look, I said it all along, we were gonna get our money back from the state.
I did too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm a bull in a china shop tonight. I apologize. I'm not
Glory.
getting anything down.
I'd like to make a motion to reconvene.
Second.
A motion a motion and a second to reconvene. All right. This time, the chair would entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion to increase our retainer fee by $15,000 to our legal representation in this case.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to increase by $15,000 in this case. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Chair would entertain a motion. Mr.
We're
Law?
going to see.
Oh, wait, we have one more motion.
We have one more motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow our legal counsel to enter into a mediation and give her authority to settle this matter.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to, as you heard, I'm getting too tired to repeat it. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Motion to enter into executive session.
And everybody press your button.
Aaron. I did this time. Hey, Ron. fun stuff already happened.
They're waiting for us outside.
Their pitchforks and their torches. This time, so I'll go back into y'all again.
I gotta go first? Come on.
Safety first.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Outside allowed.
Wonder if we got emails
Wouldn't
already.
even be a question. We don't have a right, what we gonna
Yep. Nope, hadn't got any meetings.
Chair would entertain a motion to reconvene.
Motion to reconvene.
And I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your attention this evening.